Oh my gosh. I just now realized something I did not realize in my first analysis. I wanted to bring you a 1 year later video. I love this piece. I love Hi Ren because it's a welcome. It's a greeting. Hi. It's not bye Ren. It's hi Ren. It's the word we use to greet someone, the word we use to open a conversation. It's perfect for you. Ah, she's like singing out of my soul. Sometimes we get lost in our own little world, but it's all so much bigger than we realize. Hey everybody, welcome to the Ultimate YouTube channel. It has been a year since Ren, a little over a year since Ren released his song Hi Ren, and it's been almost a year since I reacted and reviewed it. And I wanted to bring you a 1 year later video. I want to see what my impressions are this time around. Now, heads up, we're all about real talk here, real reviews, deep diving. Of course, there's a subjective element to me reviewing it because I'm my own person with my own mind. So let's come at this with an open mind, with as little bias confirmation as possible. It will be different than my first time around. It will be different emotionally, psychologically, on so many levels. It's not a first time reaction. I want to dive perhaps even deeper this time as I review, as I analyze. When it comes to therapy, when it comes to talking to someone, there is this dance, even in the world of psychology and therapists galore who have varying opinions, right, on how much does a therapist disclose of themselves? How can that help in the process of therapy? How much do we keep to ourselves? How much is it better to keep a neutral, objective stance? But on the other hand, how might that hinder the patient, the client, from opening up and feeling safe and relating? I think the reason why my Hi Ren reaction was so profound last time around is because it was real, because I experienced with you what this song meant. I'm coming at it on a different day. I am not the same person I was 11 months ago, a year ago. I'm changing. I'm experiencing things in real time. So keep that in mind as I watch, as you watch, and let's see what we can pull out from this as we go back a year later to see what this is all about. Ren's song, Hi Ren, was viewed over 23 million times at this point. And I think, again, for similar reasons that many of you connected with my analysis thereof, I think it is because it's relatable. Many of you felt seen, felt heard, felt understood through this work. It's a masterpiece. Let's review it together. Oh my gosh. I just now realized something I did not realize in my first analysis. There are two shadows on the ground. The way they set up the lighting allows for there to be two shadows. And of course, there was the shadow of the man in the pig mask wheeling him in, walking away. But as Ren is sitting here, there are two shadows, both on the left and the right. One is darker than the other. That, of course, is a matter of where you position the light and the way that the light falls, but it's very fitting to what this song is about, as we know, the duality, the battle between dark and light, between those inner voices, between life and death and truth and lies, etc. And to see those two shadows on the ground, you guys may have even pointed that out in the comment section. Isn't it fascinating how so many of you commented with so much education, educating me and sharing with one another what it meant to you, because that's the beauty of art. Second thought here, two lamps, one further back, one closer up. That could just be a matter of aesthetics, right? Nothing to it, but it fits to the duality here. Something further in the back, something bigger, something smaller. That's the same thing with our voices, right? Sometimes one voice is louder than the other. Sometimes our shadow feels bigger than our light, etc. Let me go back. I love that you can hear the footsteps, the wheelchair. It's very raw. This intro. The way he's playing, I'm fascinated by. But I also love the fact that the lower notes and the high notes and the chord progressions are occurring at the same time. You have those low notes, almost this element of bass, dong, while dong, 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 dong is happening in between. And that too, again, fits to this duality. You've got the low, you've got the lingering low notes, that element of bass that is accompanied by or working alongside the melodic and the higher notes. And that, of course, makes for a beautiful sound to our ears. That makes for a beautiful musical composition, but it also showcases that duality here that we're talking about in the lyrics. Wow. Yeah, again, I think I said this in my first analysis. Those half notes here, that's amazing.
Hi there, Ren. It's been a little while. Did you miss me? You thought you buried me, didn't you? Risky. Cause I always come back. Deep down, you know that. Deep down, you know I'm always in periphery. Ren, on your pleased to see me. It's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me. Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm ill. And I've been making some progress lately. And I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man. I think we need to just step back and chill. Ren, you sound more...
Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Psychologically, there is a conversation, and we spoke about this before, this duality between the lies and the truth in our mind, our shadow and our light, darkness and light, death and life. I mean, right, there's different ways to look at this. Those of you who have experienced mental health struggles, those of you who've experienced anxiety or depression, those of you who know about autoimmune diseases or mental disorders like schizophrenia or all the different things that you've shared with me in the comment section where this is relatable, be it bipolar, etc., bipolar disorder, etc., you know what suffering looks like. You know what that battle looks like. And that's why this song is so powerful. It's speaking of something that many people are experiencing, regardless if it's on a diagnosable level, a serious ailment, disorder, or if it's our day-to-day battles and you may have never been diagnosed, but you know what it's like to hurt, to struggle, to feel, to be bombarded with lies externally and internally. And so this is so relatable for that reason. But what I find interesting here is, and this is a question for you, comment below, do you feel like we should be answering that voice inside that is spewing those lies, that is telling us it's not your place, right, to lead. It's not your place to be the shepherd. You're the sheep. This voice that is trying to ultimately bully us into submission, wanting to dominate, the light flickering back and forth, this shadow that's creeping up. What are your thoughts on how we engage? How do you handle it in your day-to-day life? Let's let this be an interactive thing. Comment as you listen. Do we speak to our shadow self? Do we speak? And I'm not saying this in the sense of a split personality or some type of, matter where we're having separate alter egos or alter personalities. If you're experiencing that and you feel like you're hearing voices or seeing things or you're having conversations with yourself and answering yourself, I would encourage you to talk to someone about this. Seek out a counseling or therapy. Seek out someone you can trust and feel safe with, and share. Talk about this. Let's or perhaps your primary care provider. Let's have an honest conversation. Where this is relatable to me is in the sense of those lies, that lonely place, all alone, as he is here in this room, where we are faced with who we are, both our good and bad side. And I say it as two separate sides, not to imply that you have to feel split, like there's something wrong with you and there's two sides of you. It's both part of who you are. Both those moments where you're bombarded with thoughts and lies of feelings of inadequacy or imposter syndrome or insecurities, as well as those moments where you feel good about yourself, where you feel strong, where you're proud of yourself. The question is, what do we listen to more? And of course, it depends who you are, where you've come from, where you've grown up. Some people would say, don't listen to those lies at all, kick it out. Many in religious circles may look at it as a voice from the devil or hell. They would dismiss this and go, "Ooh, I rebuke this. Let's not even, go there." Others say, "Hey, that's part of who I am. I have to embrace that." Of course, it depends on your thoughts and where you've come from, as I said. But how do you propose to engage? Do we even have a conversation with that part of ourselves? Do we just dismiss it, say, I'm not going to listen to you? Here he's having an open conversation. He's saying, I've been doing some work. I've been distant. I've been still. I'm in therapy. I'm getting help. And even the way he responds is in a much more calm way, in a much more collected way. And guys, side note, this is an analysis. You will not just find me reacting, looking, watching. For my first time reaction, review that video, please. This is more of a deep dive. 1 year has gone by. What am I noticing now? How does this make me feel with where I am at right now, where we are? If you want to watch the video in full, make sure to do that, okay? And support Ren and subscribe to him if you haven't yet. Let's keep listening.
The same than I do. You think that those doctors are really there to guide you? Been through this a million times. Your civilian mind is so perfect to always being lied to. Okay, take another pill, boy. Drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program. Rejoice, all your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy. Nah, mate. This time is different, man. Trust me. I feel like things might be falling in place. And my music's been kinda doing bits too. Like I actually might do something great. And when I'm gone, maybe I'll be remembered for doing something special with myself. That's why I don't think that we should talk, man. Because when you're with me, it never seems to help. You think that you can amputate me?
Okay, so you see, even he himself here is saying, I don't think it's good we're talking. I don't think we should even be engaging. Maybe I should not even argue with you. Of course, the shadow Ren here, I'll call him, is not only accusing, not only belittling, he's gaslighting. He's full on saying, nah, whatever you think you're doing, that's not happening. That's not really successful. It's not really working for you.
I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one, split in two, that makes one, so you see. You gotta kill you if you wanna kill me. I'm not leftover dinner, I'm not scraps on the side. Oh, your music is thriving, delusional guy. Where's your top 10 hit? Where's your interview with Oprah? Where are your Grammys, Ren? Nowhere. Yeah, but my music's not commercial like that. I never chase numbers, statistics or stats. I never write hooks for the radio, they never even play me, so why would I concern myself with that? But my music is really connecting, and the people who find it respect it. And for me that's enough, cause this life's been tough, so it gives me a purpose I can rest in. Man, you sound so pretentious. Ren, your music is so self-centered. No one wants to hear another song about how much you hate yourself. Trust me. You should be so lucky, having me inside you to guide you, remind you to manage expectations, provide you perspective. That thing you neglected, I get it. You wanna be a big deal, next Jimi Hendrix, forget it. Man, it's not like that.
Okay, listen. Listen. It's interesting to see here, and today I'm focusing more on how abusive that voice is. Not only is he attacking him and belittling him, he's full on gaslighting, right? Gaslighting meaning making him think that what he's experiencing, what he's saying in response isn't true. Not only that, but it's full on this toxic relationship, this toxic dynamic of making the other believe you are nothing without me. And we can experience that both outside of ourselves in relationship. Some of you may know what that's like, having been in a relationship or friendship with someone who makes you think, tries to isolate you, or makes you think that you're alone in this or you need them. And sometimes we have that inside of ourselves, where we think we are not, who are we without our past, right? In my last video, I spoke a lot about our existential fears. Even Ren in his own experiences when it comes to autoimmune disease, false diagnoses, mental health. But let's make it personal for you, for myself. How often do we so identify with where we've come from, what we've done, who we know, that we think we are nothing without those experiences? Now hear me. Of course our experiences have made us who we are today. Of course we are who we are now because of people we've encountered, the places we've been, the things we've experienced, the things we've done. But sometimes, depending on our integration level, depending on how integrated we are, how much we're healing, how self-aware we are, we over-identify with those things. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, we may have a hard time releasing the past, forgiving ourselves for things we've done or others have done to us. We may have a hard time letting go of the past because we've experienced trauma. That trauma is directly linked to our sense of self, either a lack of self-worth or over-identifying with our suffering, or we have a hard time because we've experienced trauma and now we have unhealthy attachment styles. We're so attached to people in our past, to experiences, that if someone were to tell us, you are nothing without me, if the past were to be able to speak, or people in our life, we may agree. We might, if we're not integrated and whole and healthy, have a hard time releasing that, and we might be so attached to that former part of ourselves. And that sometimes is also a result of unhealthy attachment styles. We think our past, or this version of ourselves we used to be, or what we thought we were supposed to be or supposed to become, now is our sense of self. And we're always chasing after that instead of being in the here and now and working through the past, because it is a messenger, and learning from it, but then also letting it go and saying, I am who I am now and here. And that's all you can be, being right now. Just my thoughts as I'm listening.
Man, it's just like that. I'm inside you, you twat.
No, it's not, man, you're wrong. When I write, I belong.
Let me break the fourth wall by acknowledging this song. Ren sits down, has a stroke of genius.
When I write, I belong. Earlier he said, having purpose and resting in that. When I write, I belong. A total sense for purpose here, right? Being able to have a purpose allows you a place to rest. What does it mean to rest? To have peace. Finding something of value, finding something where you belong. Isn't that like a core human need? It's amazing how he's addressing these core basic human needs, because that is what we long for. We want to be able to rest. We want to be able to belong. Give me something that nobody can take away. Isn't that what people long for? Because we're so finite, because we're so limited, and everything seems to fade. And some of you, I know you're hurting, and you may even think, yeah, of course it does. Everything fades, everything ends, everybody leaves me. And there's this deep longing inside of us for someone to hold on, to not leave. And I wish I could tell you, oh, there's going to be somebody that comes around that won't leave. But there's no guarantee. I, even in myself, in my own life, have experienced that turmoil of feelings of fear of abandonment or rejection, or fear of not being able to control. A lot of times, either at the root, there is either fear or love. And often with fear, it's because we can't control. We can't force people to stay or love us. We can't make things happen. It's work, it's progress, it's choosing yourself. And of course, faith can be very beneficial here. The hope that there is a God who loves you, who will never leave you. I find comfort in that thought. And even though I cannot scientifically prove it to you and give you a calculation or measurement, though I guess one could argue if I could mathematically prove God to you, or empirically or somehow scientifically, would be a pretty small God to be able to be measured by a human. But faith is a meta science in that sense. It's something beyond that. And so it brings comfort. But for many of you, you might not have that type of faith. You might not feel this God that people believe in, right? So some of you asking, where is he? What is this? And so sometimes the answer is also to be that for yourself. Be for yourself someone who never leaves. I've read that the goal of therapy is to become your own mother and father. Parent yourself. Speak kindly to yourself. Show up for yourself. Don't leave on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. And I think that therein can lie comfort and healing, to get to a place where you can belong at any time, in any place.
He wants to write a song that was not done previous. A battle with the subconscious. Eminem did it.
Played on guitar.
Plan B did it.
Man, you're not original, you criminal rip-off artist. The pinnacle of your success is stealing other people's material.
Ren, mate, we've heard it all before. She sells seashells on the seashore.
Fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need to hear this, cause I'm fine by myself.
Reference here to Money Game. You can check out my reaction to that if you like both 1 and 2 and 3. This is just so profound. This pain, these lies, this voice that says, you're just a ripoff, you're just a copycat. Ren is really letting us in on some deep, deep stuff here. But it's powerful, because I think we all know what that looks like. For us, it might not be. For some of us, for some, you it might. I don't want to speak for you, but for me, it's not a comparison with Eminem subconsciously, but it's comparison with other people. It's a feeling of wanting to be the best you can be, but there's still all these stimuli outside, all these voices that say, oh, you're not like this, you're not like that. It's a constant battle of the mind to fight that and to say, I'm not going to listen to this. I'm not going to compare myself. And quite frankly, side note, it's a lie. If you're feeling that way in any way, I want to encourage you and let you know you are not a copy. Even if you imitated someone else as closely as possible, it's still not the same because you are you doing it. And we're all learning from one another. We're all part of this ripple effect of life. Even Eminem and people that have come before, even if we can't find anyone that has done it exactly like him, there's been people that influenced him. There's been people that have influenced his genius. So that's something also that keeps us humble in this world, to remember we're all part of a bigger thing.
Fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need to hear this. Cause I'm fine by myself, I'm a genius. And I will be great, and I will make waves, and I'll shake up the whole world beneath us.
That's right, speak your truth, your fucking God complex leaks out of you. It's refreshing to actually you say it instead of downplay it.
Music is all about the creative process, and if people can find something to relate to within that, then that's just a bonus.
Fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you, Ren.
Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren.
I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to doubt my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots and so I choose who survives. I'll tie you up in knots when I lock you inside.
Newsflash. I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason. Beheading all...
Rhyme scheme here is awesome. The literary art, reason for treason. Beheading all kings, he's about to say. Just a lot of poetry, a lot of literary art. We've talked about this and it's phenomenal. But listen to how the toxicity is just taking off. That whole... it sounded crazy. It sounded very Exorcist vibe-like. But also, it almost sounded like these two separate Rens are morphing back into one. The Shadow Ren almost like reminding him, listen, I'm inside of you. And he's taking it up a notch. Now it's going from, I'm going to tell you that you're nothing. I'm going to call out your God complex. I'm going to belittle everything you've accomplished. I'm going to remind you that you are me, I am you, we are we. I'm going to tell you that if you want to kill me, you've got to kill yourself. But now taking it to a more universal level. And not only saying, I'm inside of you and you're stuck with me, but taking it beyond that and saying, I've been here as long as time. I am temptation. I am that evil that people have tried to wrap their heads around. And they have in philosophy, in psychology, in religion. That is a struggle as old as time. People trying to grasp, where does good and evil come from? Why is there free will? Is it Satan? Is it our conscious? Is there good? Is there bad? You have everything and anything in between where people are trying to figure out or grasp or control these philosophical matters, these concepts. And for him, the Shadow Ren here, to take it from this one-off between these two Rens to now say, I am evil. That, to me, is a really slick strategy when it comes to toxicity, when it comes to abuse. Because if you can let the other believe that you are not just powerful in and of yourself, but you are this power, this force that is as old as time that humanity has been trying to conquer and figure out, and they haven't yet. That is the ultimate idea of being overwhelmed, right? It's one thing for one person to say, you're screwed. It's another thing for that person to say, everyone agrees with me. It's a form of gaslighting, isolating you, this power struggle, right? The ultimate bully, that imbalance of power. And now bump it up to a universal idea of evil and wickedness. How is a person supposed to counter that? How is a man or woman supposed to, what are we supposed to do about that now, right? Nobody's figured out how to deal with that. So that's a very slick strategy here, but let's keep listening.
Kings, I am sin, with no rhyme or reason. Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies. Mephistopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender. When standing in front of my solar eclipse, my name is stitched to your lips. So you see, I won't bow to the will of a mortal, feeble and normal. You wanna kill me? I'm eternal immortal. I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos, that causes division. I live inside death, the beginning of ends. I am you, you are me, I am you. Ren.
Basically saying you are evil, the Antichrist, Lucifer, all things wicked, all things blender, confusion, destruction. I am me, we are you. Almost, complete defeat. Just imagine if you were told that the epitome of evil and wickedness and despair is also in you. And now in religious circles, that might be referred to as, born into sin, this battle we find ourselves in, right? That we are wicked or evil. And it's interesting because I was listening to this book, audiobook, and it spoke about, or it posed the question I found interesting. Why is it easier for us to believe we are children of Satan, children of the devil, than to believe that we are gods, that we are children of God? I think somehow, even in religious circles, it's almost easier to believe we are born into wickedness and sin and we are doomed and we are evil, and then to believe that we are divine. And that's tricky, right? Because when we look at humanity, we're actually seeing wickedness. We're seeing bad decisions, but we also see a lot of life, a lot of kindness. It's this dance, right? Which is why I say dance in the light, right? You get to choose. You get to stand up. You get to choose to dance in the light. And that's not some type of, when I say that, I don't mean kumbaya, we're just going to dance in hippie circles because one love people. Life is hard. Dancing in the light is much more of a heroic act, is much more a choice of standing up, of persevering, of pushing through than some type of happy clappy kumbaya circle dance. It's a hard decision. It's a battle. It's breaking through the darkness and it's saying yes to life and yes to hope. But what a overwhelming battle, grief to think that the father of lies, this complete destruction personified, is part of you. I mean, is there any hope? Let's keep listening.
Hi Ren, I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself, and I've spent half my life ill. But just as sure as the tide starts turning.
Earlier, he sang at a higher level. He was calm. Here, he's singing lower notes. It sounds more somber, but there's more authority now. I hear more authority than earlier when he responded and he was at the verge of tears.
Just as sure as the night has dawned. Just as sure as the rainfall soon runs dry when you stand in an eye of a storm. I was made to be tested and twisted. I was made to be broken and beat. I was made by his hand, it's all part of his plan that I stand on my own 2 feet. And you know me, my will is eternal. And you know me, you've met me before. Face to face with a beast, I will rise from the east and I'll settle on the ocean floor. And I go by many names also. Some people know me as hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? Cause I stand here.
I love this part. Keep in mind, you guys, if you came here to look for that first time reaction where it knocked me off my socks, you're going to have to look at that review. I'm not going to fake it for you. I'm going to be real with what I'm feeling and thinking about right now. It still has me wanting to tear up and cry again. But I want us to be able to be real with what we experience with art. This is a channel of substance. And let me tell you guys, this is a song of substance. It's a masterpiece. I love how his voice got lower and more authoritative. I love how he stood up and looked into the camera, making direct eye contact. I love how the Shadow Ren got to this place where he spoke with such final, condemning, ultimate terms. And now Hope is speaking this in the same way, with the same level of authority. We're moving from, but wait a minute, to now, oh, you're doomed, I am wickedness and I am you, to Hope standing up, saying, I am eternal, and still personifying it, where wickedness was personified and Lucifer and despair and defeat, and Shadow Ren was personifying that as himself. Therefore, Light Ren, I'll call him, the Ren of the light, now being the same, right, that shadow. In the same sense, Light Ren, the Hope standing up and also personifying himself. Not speaking of light, of hope, of truth in a passive sense, right? Because that wouldn't be a fair battle. If you have despair and wickedness speaking as a person, right? I am you, you are me, I'm evil, and I've been here all this time, and we're the same. That's terrifying. But if you now had someone, or Ren in this case, speaking of hope in passive terms, or in third person, but there is always hope, guys. There's light. To me, that's not a fair fight. How are you going to come against someone who's standing there as wickedness personified and then speaking of light and hope in third person? No, light and hope too has to show up personified, saying, I am hope, right? So that this is a fair battle. and so that we can put them side by side.
I go by many names also. Some people know me as Hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? 'Cause I stand here beside you today. I have stood in the flames that cremated my brain, and I didn't once flinch or shake.
Ooh, cremated my brain. I feel like this could also be a nod to his experiences with being misdiagnosed, with how he's been treated in the medical process, right? Even later in Sick Boy, there's dynamics between that therapist at the table, to me, matches here with this idea of having your brain cremated, right? Something being burned to ash. That too works with what's happening here between these two Rens, this gaslighting, this toxic, condescending, condemning despair. That's like your brain being cremated. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but when somebody makes you think you're crazy, or someone belittles your experience, or someone abuses you, it's so painful, but it's invisible, right? You might not have bruises on your body, but it's in your mind, this battlefield of the mind where you feel like your brain is being burnt. You feel like you're losing yourself. And so for him to not only say, hey, there's hope, hey, there's life, but to say, listen, I've been through the flames, okay? There's something about suffering and hope, about light and dark, when you can say, I know darkness, okay? You guys would probably perceive me different if I looked at this, or even with my first time watching it, and I said, wow, this is powerful. Even if I cry a little, share a few tears, this is beautiful. But it's way different when I tell you to choose life, it's because I know suffering. I know what it's like to stand out a window and look down and wonder what it would be like to jump, crying out to God, saying, please come take me. I can't do this anymore. I know what it's like to hurt myself because I'm so in pain and agony that I want to feel it on my body, that I want to either numb the pain or feel what I'm feeling inside because it's coming out of my skin. When people have experienced suffering, when they say, I know what it's like to feel like you're going crazy. I know what it's like to be abused. I know what it's like to hold my own dead child in my arms. I know what it's like to be in the depths of despair, and I'm still standing. I am here. That is way more powerful than someone from the outline saying, you can do this, right? Wouldn't we take someone has been in the mud with us, or has been in the mud themselves, way more serious, and say, okay, this person has made it through, I can too, right? That's a much more powerful coach to say, you can do this. And now this person is like ripped and strong themselves versus someone that's not healthy or fragile or has never even run this race themselves, right? He is standing here saying, I have been there. And this is such a powerful authority to come from that place. I just love this. All from the vulnerability of this raw, broken down room with a hospital gown, fitting to the whole topic of mental health, physical, but also mental, but still also implying raw, because when you put on a hospital gown, you are exposed, right? You're wearing nothing underneath for the most part. There's this idea of hurting, ill, sick boy, right? Even though that's not just to play on actually being physically ill, but also something being like sick boy. But also a vulnerability, like a place of complete just, dude, like, the real human experience. Because when someone's in a hospital gown, when someone's in the hospital at the doctor's office, that's as human as it gets. Because that's where we are at our weakest, at our most vulnerable. That's where we are in need of help. And we can't hide behind filters and clothing and facade.
When I will rise in the music that I left behind, ferocious, persistent, immortal like you, we're a coin into different sides.
Ooh, a coin in different sides. I love that. Listen, where these notes sound so joyful. In the beginning, they could have possibly been interpreted as mentally ill, right? Perhaps this place of high pitched notes, nonetheless, but perhaps more of a place of mental turmoil, right? It's confusion. If you saw somebody sitting somewhere going, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo," we might be like, "You okay?" Here, as he's standing up, now singing those notes and those notes again, now strumming the guitar with so much more life and passion, it sounds way more victorious. We've gone from a place of, to like just almost like a victory cry, a champion cry. And I love how he's dancing. This fits so well with that idea of dancing in the light. That I created this merge line, if you will, this design, because I was so inspired by him and that picture where he stands up out of the wheelchair and where he's dancing around and where he's choosing light. He's choosing not to keep living in the shadow side. And is it just me, or is one shadow getting even lighter than it was in the beginning? That could just be me. But it's just powerful. It's powerful. It's so good. And I love this part. I said this in my last review when he puts that guitar in the chair or in front of the chair before he walks out.
When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences, with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare. But there were victims, and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying from the dark to the light. And the more intensely that the light shone, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax. And I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget, we must not forget, that we are human beings.
Oh, guys. There's so much life in this. And it's so beautiful. It encourages me personally because my word for the year is acceptance. And I was telling a friend, or a couple of people actually, how the crazy thing about acceptance is it's not something that I can master. It's easier for me when I have a word for the year, or I have a goal that I know I have to master. And what I mean by master is not necessarily perfect, but in the sense of I can achieve it. I can check it off my list. I can be a very driven person. I want to get it done. I can't rest until it's been completed. I want to be successful. I want to be the best me. And I was reading something the other day in regards to even the Enneagram, which I find can be a helpful tool. Doesn't have all the answers. It's not the be all end all, but it's a helpful tool in understanding why we are the way we are, some of our core fears and desires, so we can be free from over identifying. Interestingly enough, the idea is not to find a personality type and now that becomes your whole identity, but actually understanding yourself so you can be free from all this obsession with this idea of being a certain type and what that entails. Long story short, I read something and it went through the different personality types. As an example, it spoke about, type 3s, the achiever. They long to be known, but they'll settle for being admired. Or the type 4, the individualist, longs to be accepted, and they'll settle for, what did it say? For desire, to be desired. And it's so interesting, and it walked through all the personality types, which I won't go in detail right now. I'm working on a special course I'll put on Patreon. But it was interesting because it went through this this contrast between what we actually long for and what we end up settling for, right? And let me use type 4 as an example. There's this desire to be accepted, for someone to really accept you and love you with all that you are. But because doesn't occur necessarily, because people are humans, they are incomplete. It's hard to love unconditionally. And oftentimes we don't understand we have to start accepting ourselves before we can expect it from others. We end up not getting that. And so we settle for being desired. That could be desired sexually, right? Physically, trying to be pretty, being desirable from a standpoint of success, appearance, the way we present ourselves, not just physical, with the things we accomplish, with the way that we treat others. But deep down inside, there's a longing to be known and accepted. And that stood out to me because, again, there's this contrast between what we long for and what we settle for in life. And I love this piece. I love Hi Ren because it's a welcome. It's a greeting. Hi. It's not bye, Ren. It's hi, Ren. It's the word we use to greet someone, the word we use to open a conversation. It's the start of something. And when the Shadow Ren spoke and went from just attacking directly to now inflating himself as the epitome of, I said epitome earlier, right? The fact that I'm Cuban and German, not originally from America, comes to show sometimes when I mispronounce words. The epitome of evil, right? The Shadow Ren became this epitome of evil. I am evil. I'm Lucifer. And he inflated himself and personified evil in himself, implying that Ren is doomed because he is the same as the Shadow Ren. And so he is therefore all things evil. And that's one way to look at humanity. We could say we are animals. We are the worst kind of animals. We are the epitome of evil. We are wickedness. We are what is wrong. And I think even though we might not walk around the world like that, thinking like that, many of us battle that. Many of us think, I can't fully be accepted. I can't fully be known. We long for that so deeply, but it's easier to settle. It's easier to look at ourselves as the personification of evil, or at least a part of it, right? We're part of this collective called humanity, human beings, and we keep messing up and we keep failing. Surely there's something wrong with us. And it's easier to think we're children of the devil, born into sin, doomed. And even when it comes to religion and to hope in faith, to this idea of, yeah, we're evil, but there's hope, there's grace, right? Depending on what kind of God you believe in or what kind of religion you follow, there's still this idea of you're not quite enough. And so we settle. Somehow that's easier for many than believing you are divine, you're a child of God, you are already accepted, not that you have to settle for anything else. Wouldn't that change so much of our identity if we didn't stop with the Shadow Ren that says, I am evil and I am powerful and you are me. You're stuck here. That's a voice that many of us battle. You are inadequate. You are not good enough. You don't look like this. You won't accomplish this. This is why your parents left you. This is why your spouse cheated. This is why this person died. This is why you can't get that job. We're bombarded with lies all the time. And it's beyond just from the outside in. It's from the inside out. This voice that wants to believe, that wants to make us believe. Yeah, you long for acceptance. You long to be known. You long to be loved. You long to be good enough. But you're not quite. So you're going to have to settle for the alternative. And I love that Ren didn't stop there. He stood up. And I would like to encourage you to do the same, regardless if you are able to physically or not, if you want to or not physically stand up. I would encourage you in your mind, in your heart, with your choices, to stand up, to dance in the light, and to remember that while, yes, we are also our shadow, we are also our mistakes, we are also part of this universe, and the energy we put out, the things we create with our words, with our actions, with our thoughts, we are also connected to the evil that is done. But just as much, there is a force of hope that we are part of. You are not a child of the devil and evil and doomed and wicked, and now somehow there's some hope floating outside and you can grab a hold of a little bit of it, but ultimately you're doomed. No, you are just as much connected to hope. You are just as much capable of loving and being loved. You are good enough. You are accepted. You don't have to wait for it. You already are here and now. You are accepted. You're not broken. And I think this is why this is so powerful, because it ends with hope. but it doesn't shy away from the hard conversation. It doesn't shy away from the shadow. It doesn't shy away from it, but it says, hey, there's hope. And it's not one or the other. It's two sides of a coin. It's this pendulum. And I like that he said that, because just to get back to that word for the year for myself, acceptance is not something I can master. It's not something I can just check off my list. That's the paradox. Acceptance is not something I can cling to, right? You can't cling to release. That's a paradox. I can't hurry up and slow down. I can't stress about relaxing, right? That's a paradox. That's the opposite. The more I stress, the less relaxed I am. The more I try to hold on to letting go, hello, I'm not letting go. The more I try to master acceptance, the more I try to conquer it, the less I'm accepting that I am who I am and that it's good enough, that it's okay. And so to me, this is just so powerful because it makes me think of acceptance of what he said about the pendulum, that we have to learn to understand that the more we curse our clumsy feet, the more we curse our humanity, the more we stumble, the more that we stress and that we cling to what we think we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do. And if I only could reach this moment, the less relaxed we are, right? I mean, we know this in life. When I reach that job, I'll be happy. When I have those kids, when I have that spouse, and then the spouse and the kids come along and we're like, oh my gosh, when they're finally out of the house, then I can rest. We're always looking for something else because that's just humanity. We're always trying to control things and chase after things instead of being still. And I love that he said that a couple of times. I'm learning to be distant and still. And that ties into the Enneagram too, by the way, because I think there's different ways to look at this. But for all of our personalities, there is healing in learning to be still. And I'm not just talking about sitting still. For some of us, it's learning to do that. For some of us, it's learning to sit in silence. And I'm not talking about sitting, having wine, and watching a movie, because that's still not silence. I'm not talking about sitting by yourself and being on your phone. I'm talking about being alone with yourself. Who are you when you're alone with yourself? Do you know that you're enough when you're just sitting there? I wish I could tell you, I could get into your mind how loved you are, how accepted you are, that you are not broken. But that is something that's going to have to come from the inside out. You will have to decide to break the habit, like Linkin Park says. Check out my reaction on that. You have to get to a place where you say, you know what? This is a dance. This is a pendulum. This is life. I'm not going to curse my feet and keep fumbling. I'm going to keep dancing. And you will fall and you've got to get back up again. But the beautiful thing, my friend, is you are alive. This song is just so powerful. And this time around, because it wasn't my first time, I wasn't blown away by him getting up or the composition, because I've heard this before. And it was different for me, this experience. To me, this time around, it's more solidifying. To me, this time around, there's something about it that brings me comfort, that reminds me of that truth that I now have to practice. This time around, it's more something where I'm going, this has to become muscle memory. The first time around, it shook me and it got me excited and it amazed me. This time around, I feel like this masterpiece is a reminder that it's something that I get to keep choosing. This is not a one-time masterpiece where I go, okay, this was awesome, knocked me off my feet, rocked my worlds, cool. See ya. This time around, I'm going, okay, Rosalie, you've got to practice this. You've got to keep standing up. You've got to keep dancing in the light. Do what you're telling other people to do. That's, I think, also a beautiful thing that this masterpiece is reminding us of. It's an ongoing thing. Pendulums swing back and forth. They don't go left and right and then stop. A dance is not something where you move one hand up and then down and that's it, right? It's an ongoing thing. And in the same sense, I think this time around, this piece is reminding me, Rosalie, healing is an ongoing thing. Accepting yourself is an ongoing thing. Learning to dance in the light is an ongoing thing. Understanding the duality of life is an ongoing thing. Release, accept, be. You guys are loved. You matter. Let me know what you think. What has this song done for you over the past year? If you've listened to it again since then, how has it changed you? Where have you come from? What has happened in you in this past year? Talk to me. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, and I'll see you on the next ride. Ayo!